Hi everybody, welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I am super excited to be interviewing Akua. Hi Akua, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you so much, Jasmine.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Wow, okay, and I'm going to try and keep this brief because I can talk for hours, and this is not about that, it's about a lovely conversation. But I reside in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and I've been here for just under 13 years. I came here with a career in HR, and I spent 9 years at NYU, New York University in Abu Dhabi, as a HR leader. And COVID came, and I had a lot of time to think about what was important in life. I recognized that I was no longer fulfilled in my role. And to cut a long story short, I took a leap of faith during COVID, and I followed my heart, and I decided to merge my two passions, travel and people. And I created a company called Dreamcatcher Global, where I kind of serve women and help women to really come back to themselves through coaching and retreats, where I take women on these outer adventures and inner journeys. So that's in a nutshell, but of course there's a lot more to that we can maybe unpick it a little as we go along.
Definitely. No, thank you so much. So I'm really excited to get into this topic because I just feel it resonates with me personally, but we've had lots of interest in there as well. I think it's such an important topic. So you chose the Unbecoming Journey, letting go of what was never ours. Tell us what that means and why you chose it for today.
Wow. So Unbecoming is really the foundation of all of the work that I do. And it's my own journey, really, which I'm still on. We're all on. And it was really during that process of wanting to, I guess, seek a deeper kind of meaning and sense of self while I was working at NYU, and COVID came and we all had a lot of time to think about what was important in life. And it dawned on me that I wasn't necessarily showing up at work as my authentic self, that I'd kind of succumbed to this, I guess, conditioned way of arriving in the workplace and being a leader, right? There's kind of the things that society tells you that you need to be a successful leader. And sometimes as you're following all of those trappings, or I guess not trappings, that's the wrong word, but you're following this version of success, at some point you stop and you realize actually that was never mine. That was somebody else's.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it really is about kind of unbecoming all of that. It's letting go of all of the expectations, the roles, the hats that I wear, and really sort of unraveling like an onion, coming back to the core of that onion, which is me at my core, like, before conditioning when I was a young child, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, and before, we started to really be influenced by our external environment.
Amazing. No, I love it. So I know, there's so many steps to this. Like you said, it's a never-ending journey. So what actually, for you, in your words, how would you describe letting go? Like, what actually does it mean?
Wow. And so, I would say, and I've really done a lot of time, had a lot of time to think about this. Of course, I've done a lot of work on this, and this is the foundation of my retreats and my coaching programs. And underneath that kind of trademark or just framework of the Unbecoming Journey is another framework. It's the 5 R's. And for me, these 5 R's really kind of define what letting go and returning to self and unbecoming really is. And those 5 R's are recognized. So that's the first R, where you kind of get to a point in life where you're kind of thinking, something's a little off. I'm not quite sure what it is, but something needs to shift. And then there's the next one, which is kind of the process of, now I know what it is, I need to release. So that's kind of a really big part of the process, is sort of letting go, it's shedding. And that can be messy, it can be liberating, it can be challenging, it could just be a range of different emotions, because there's a lot there that could have been from suppressed emotions from a long time in life. And then, after that sort of process of beginning to sort of release and let go, there's the reconnecting with, okay, so who am I? Now I've kind of let go, I've made space now to receive. What is it? Who am I? So it's kind of like reconnecting now with that self, that person that was underneath all of those layers of this onion. And then there is this next step, which is about reclamation. So it's like, now I know, now I've reconnected, I really kind of feel empowered now. So I'm going to reclaim all of that, in my own power. And I'm going to sort of really lead from a place of strength, power, authenticity. I feel ready, I feel pumped. And then last is the return. So the return is really like coming home to self. And so we have this, and again, there's really no end, because sometimes we show up in different parts of that cycle. But ultimately, that's the way that I've broken this down. And that's how I help, support people on their journey of unbecoming, is using those 5 different steps.
Oh, wow. They sound so incredibly powerful. And each step completely resonated with me. And I'm sure it resonates with other people as well. And I think as well, you never know how long you're going to be on each step, do you? Could take for it. I mean, yeah. So
yeah. And
yeah.
There's also sometimes you pivot back, right? You feel like I've moved forward, and I'm now in this beautiful stage of reconnect. And then there is stuff that comes up, something might have triggered you, and you realize I've still got some stuff to let go of. But again, over time, you are literally clearing. I mean, we're human beings, right? Lives, and there's no end. We're on this beautiful journey. There is no destination. And so it really is just about continuous evolvement. It's the work that we do on ourselves. It never stops. It's part of life. And it's a beautiful journey, and all of its mess and challenges and liberation, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say something. I've just forgotten now. But no, I love that. I love that. So the first one is recognize. So I guess that's the awareness.
Yeah.
So how do we recognize? Is it just because sometimes, I mean, that takes quite a while just to get to that point sometimes, doesn't it? So how would you, do you think it's just when you're not happy?
Yeah, I think that you have to get to that point. I think unless you're sort of in some kind of deep therapy, I don't think, I feel like you have to come to a realization in your life. And for me, the women that I serve are often going through transitions in life, right? So it's kind of that point in life where they're at a crossroads, and sometimes it could be empty nesters, right? They have children who are now leaving the nest and going off to university, and they have always been the mum. They've always been giving to the kids and everyone else. And all of a sudden, the house is now empty, and there's kind of space and time for them to do their stuff and look after themselves. But they haven't done this for God knows how long. They've forgotten about it. And it just feels like a huge disconnect. And they know that, gosh, I have no idea what to do with myself. I've kind of forgotten what my own passions are, and it's scary. And I know a lot of this is about me stepping outside of my comfort zone and doing something new. Or it could be, for example, somebody may be going through a divorce. Again, that's a huge transition where everything that was familiar is kind of left, and you're at this point. And again, it's like, who am I? And that's where a lot of this is just things happen in life where it's just like maybe even a crisis where it's like, wow, something is not right. And I know that in order for me to move forward, I've got to do something about it. I'm not quite sure what, but I need some help.
Oh, I love that. And I think also as well, like when you get to that point, you could easily just stay at that point and not do anything, can't you? Because sometimes keeping busy actually can be quite comfortable, because then you don't have to, when you stop and you pause or something happens, interrupts your flow of life, things come up, don't they? And you might not be ready to acknowledge it. So you just get back into, and you go straight back to being busy or doing whatever. Some people, leave their jobs, but then they go back to them because they just can't manage these emotions. So what would you say to that? Because I think that's a big step as well, isn't it? Knowing that, okay, here, I'm going to manage this. It's not easy.
I mean, you know what? I mean, I feel like the majority of people nowadays are in that space where they know something's off, but they have this kind of false sense of security, right? It's that comfort zone, and that comfort zone, it's actually it's a false sense of security, right? Because a lot of the time we think it's the real thing, and we think we're feeling safe, but it's just habit, and it's that fear of stepping outside of that habit. And so a lot of this is driven by fear, because there is this deep knowing that I want more, I want to move forward, but the fear outweighs this interest, this real motivation to actually take that leap of faith, right? And I always say step with risk and land with faith, because we don't know what's in the unknown. A lot of people are afraid of the unknown, but actually the unknown for me is, I've reframed it as just a possibility. The unknown is like the other side of fear, where, my gosh, like life can just be so different, but we don't know that until we move onward. So, that would be my point, is that it's normal. There's so many people who are fearful about doing that. But it really is about recognizing what's stopping you, what's holding you back. And if it is the fear, like let's look into that. Let's help you in a way change your relationship with fear, because that's what I do a lot on my retreats that I do. So on my
do you?
retreats, yeah, I take women on these outer adventures and inner journeys. I've just literally a week ago come back from Zanzibar, where I took 12 women from about 5 countries all over the world, and I'm fusing, adventure with stillness. So the adventure piece is really about the comfort zone. It's kind of taking women on these adventures who they don't necessarily do these things. I mean, I took these women kayaking through the mangroves, and the majority of them had never kayaked, and it was quite choppy, and they were fighting against the current and all things, and that was almost like a metaphor for their life, that they needed to let go and resist and just go with the flow, but they were just fighting everything. And so really, it's really about us having those conversations about fear. It's about recognizing that fear is, I call it false evidence appearing real. It's something that hasn't even happened yet. A lot of it is up here, right? And a lot of that comes back to conditioning, right? The things that we were told, the things that we've been taught. I've taken women in so many places and spaces, and they recognize that fear was never mine. I have no idea where it's come from, but actually it felt so liberating,
No, absolutely. Let me just say hi to Zakia. Hi, Zakia. How are you doing? Hi, Angeline. Hi, Sarah. Hi. There's a few people joining, but yeah, thank you so much, Akua. No, it's so interesting. I think, like you were saying with fear is normally the block for most things. Yeah. So
absolutely.
What else would you say? So we recognize the fear. Maybe we know we're feeling super scared and we just want to run back to the safe place, the comfort zone. How can we manage this fear? Like, how do you work through your clients with that?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways that we do things, but, to the everyday person, I kind of just say, how about doing something different? Have you ever been out for a meal on your own before? Because for some people that's daunting. Have you ever been to the cinema on your own? Have you ever traveled on your own? How about even just taking a different route to work, because you're so much in the habit of taking the same route to work every time. So it's kind of starting to slowly and slightly to kind of disrupt some patterns and get them to do these small things first that they don't ordinarily do, and then that in itself can then evolve into bigger things. And that works, because for people it's a challenge. Well, I can do that. I can attempt to go out on my own and have my own meal. I can attempt to, do a weekend away on my own, in another emirate. I can do that. That's manageable. And then this sense of, I did that, this sense of empowerment. And I know that feeling too well, because for me, I've traveled to about 87 countries. Travel has been the thing that has allowed me to grow. And it's really pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Mark. How are you doing? Mark says, a ship is safe in ports, but a ship was built to sail the seas. Time to raise the sail.
Love it, Mark.
Thank you so much, Mark. I think you're absolutely right. You have to start small, don't you? Well, I mean, some people like to jump in the deep end, actually. Maybe some people, but I think you've got to find out what works for you, haven't you? Like, we're all different things work for us. And I think about really accepting yourself as well as something else as well, isn't it? Self-acceptance, self-love. What do you think about that in relation to fear?
Yeah, I think it's about giving yourself grace and, know that, we're all unique individuals. It's about not comparing ourselves to what somebody else might have been able to do. And it's just about, as you say, really being kind to yourself, and I feel like on this journey of unbecoming, it is about being kind to yourself. It's about being non-judgmental and remembering to almost kind of treat ourselves as we would like our best friend. How do we speak to ourselves? How do we show up for ourselves? What would we say to a friend who feel about doing something? We'd say something quite nice. We wouldn't judge them. We'd just say, well, you know what, fair play to you for trying. When you're ready, try it again. So I think that's really important. It's just really showing up for yourself, being kind to yourself, and giving yourself the space and grace to do things in your own unique timing.
Amazing. And going back to your retreats and your work that you do, what other problems and challenges do people come to you with? Is it always about letting go?
Yeah, and a lot of it is really about letting go, but letting go is so big and so broad, right? It's so important in so many different ways. And for the women that I normally serve, a lot of that is about giving back to themselves, right? So they recognize that they are doing everything for everyone else. They're wearing so many hats, that they really don't even get the time to breathe. And it's almost like this letting go is it's hard, right? Because this is what they've been conditioned to do. Maybe it's something that they're you know, family-wise, their parents have done. It's the way that they've been told to be.
Yes.
You know, this is how it is to be a great mother, a great wife, and somehow, you know, you feel like, you know, and we're living in the world of social media right now, right? So there's so much online and there's so much comparison. But I think that, you know, evidently what these women are realizing is it's going back to worth, and it's recognizing and reminding them of something very simple, like I say, is that you came on this earth on your own, and you're going to leave on your own, right? So you came as this unique individual person with her own hopes, aspirations, and dreams. And, you know, you're entitled to that. That's your birthright. And it's really, you know, going back to even the R, you can put remind in there, to reminding ourselves, like, why are we here beyond the roles and responsibilities and the hats that we wear? Like, who am I? And recognizing that if I can really be happy with who I am, everyone else around me then gets to benefit from that, right? Because I can show up as the, you know, a better version of me, which then emanates, you know, through all of the things that I do, through my family, through my workplace. But it's remembering that I am an individual. I'm not just a mom. I'm not just a wife. I'm not just a mother, a sister, or whatever. I am me. And really recognizing who that is, nourishing that person and giving back to that person.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. And I think as well, like with me, and I know a lot of my clients as well, people pleasing.
Yes.
Putting everyone else before you. And I don't know about you, but I realized all of that people pleasing I did held me back so much, because I was always thinking about other people's needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually held me back. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's boundaries as well, isn't it? It's really, it's really being able to set boundaries. And I know that those things are quite difficult. So with a lot of my clients, that's a big struggle, right? Having to set these boundaries and say no to their loved ones. But again, you know, we start small and we do this because that is itself, that is where you start giving back to yourself, when you start to actually make space for yourself by saying no. And it feels awkward, you know, but it's okay. You know, I remind them that this is their right. They're allowed to say no. They don't have to keep saying yes. And so, you know, that is very empowering and very liberating when, you know, you get to a point where, you know what, I'm setting these boundaries. I'm putting myself first. I'm carving out time for me. That's important. And it's okay to say no.
Absolutely. We've got a question over on Instagram from Chris. He says, can you share a personal moment when you realized you were carrying something that wasn't yours and what it felt like to let it go?
Wow. That has been a big part of my kind of transition in life. And I come on here saying Akua, but actually my name, my legal name is Teresa Powell. And in 2019, I went to Ghana, to the Ashanti region, where I met a village chief and some elders, and they asked me my name and all sorts. And, you know, I ended up having a beautiful naming ceremony, which was really about just honoring my ancestral kind of heritage. And the name Akua means helper and leader. And at the time I worked at NYU, so I didn't come back and say, hey, everybody call me Akua. It was just something that was a great memory. But it was also the start of me recognizing that I didn't necessarily feel fulfilled in my role. And even though, you know, I was very good at my job and well respected, I knew that I wasn't showing up authentically. I felt like every day I was actually wearing a mask and I was hiding a part of me to in a way conform to the standard of what, you know, a leader should be. And, you know, that was kind of the pivotal point of me really starting this unbecoming journey and releasing and letting go and recognizing that I needed to do something about it. And it was drastic because I ended up leaving, you know, and I ended up creating this whole company of mine. But it was a huge deal because people were like, are you crazy? Like, you know, I was the first in my family to go to university, the first to, you know, live in another country. And, you know, on paper, you know, I had this successful position. I was having, you know, a six-figure tax-free salary. I was living the dream, so to speak. But what I realized, it wasn't me. And on the outside, I, you know, looked all polished, and people would think, what a lucky woman. And on the inside, I was absolutely dying. And it took a lot for me, a lot of courage to walk away from everything that I'd worked towards my entire life, everything that was secure. And also doing that in a country that is not your home country, so to speak, right? So I'm doing all of this now. I'd never, worked for myself in any capacity. I'd always been an employee. And now I'm going to take this huge leap of faith in the UAE, away from even the backup of family to help me when if times got hard. And it's been a journey. I mean, it's been hard in many ways, but it's been the best journey ever. And I wouldn't change a thing. And so, in answer to that question, that's been it. That's recognizing that showing up at work was not me. That wasn't me. And that fear of this false sense of security, because again, employment at any point, somebody can say, and I know that I work in HR, we don't, you're fired, it can happen. So we think we're secure, but we're not necessarily
Exactly.
secure.
It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. It takes courage. But I think when you sort of know and something inside you has made that decision, it probably doesn't matter what anybody says anymore, because you've let go of something that was probably stopping you from doing that. But that's the thing. Once you've actually let that thing go, there's nothing more powerful than that, is there? Because you have to follow it, because it's such a strong feeling.
Yeah. I mean, and also, that letting go wasn't like a one and done, right? So what I started to do during COVID was I had a little bit more time and space for myself. So I started the process of trying to journal again consistently. And I've been journaling on the 26th of September. It'll be for 6 years. So that practice has become, part of my daily practice, as well as meditation. I'm also now a qualified meditation teacher. So in 2023, I went to Bali and became qualified because I wanted just to find out a bit more about the art of meditation. So I really had to kind of use those kind of self-development arts in a way to help me on that journey. So it wasn't that I just woke up and said, I'm doing this and it's done. I really had to be consistent to work at it, because, fears came up, people would project their fears on me, and there'd be times when I'm like, have I made the right decision? And then I'd be able to go back and kind of really think about, my journey through my journaling and through my meditation, kind of just centering myself and recognizes I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is part of the journey. And it's okay for me to have this blip and feel like, wow, I made the right decision. It's completely natural. But I know heart in hearts, I'm on the right path. And this has been like the best section of my life today. I mean, I'm 54 now. And so thank you. I made the decision at 50 and left at 51. And, being in my 50s has been the best just stage of my life, so women, like, it's not over, if you choose to take this leap of faith and like literally, you can reimagine your life, you can like reimagine yourself. There's just so much possibility out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's because it's when you let go, isn't it? Because the opposite of not letting go is you're holding on to stuff. And that just weighs you down, keeps you stuck. You can't see clearly, you can't think clearly. You know something's wrong, you're not sure what it is. So when you let that go, it's like a whole new, you just feel liberated.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like, for me, releasing is making space for, that good stuff to come into your life, right? So the more you hold on to things, the more you're like blocking your blessings, right? And when you start to release, you make space now to receive all of that beautiful goodness, and that's what I thought has happened in my life. Like, finally I've let go and I'm like, damn, I'm living the best decade of my life right now.
Yeah. And do you ever feel like you wish you'd done it sooner? Because sometimes it does cross my mind occasionally. I wish I'd done it sooner, but then I think, no, I'm grateful it's now, and now it's the time.
I say to myself that nothing is no accident, and being here, it's the right timing, and I've learned so much about myself, and maybe, things would have been different if I'd done it before. So I'm just happy that I've done it and I'm doing it. And it's about the fact that I've taken that leap of faith, and like, as Nike said, I just did it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love it, Akua. There's so much we can talk about, but we're running out of time, but we definitely have to do another one. Is there anything else you would like to say before you go?
Yeah, one of the things that I just want to say is unbecoming, it's the foundation for everyone. So man, woman, I mean, this is not just about, a woman only kind of process.
Yes.
And also for me, what I'm looking at now is actually bringing that into the workplace in terms of unbecoming leadership. So it's really looking at ways of how we can, as leaders, kind of show up as our authentic selves in the workplace with kind of, like I call it heart, empathy, alignment, recruitment, a reconnection in truth, which is a heart model that I've created, because it starts there. I mean, it's really important that people can see almost like a mirror of themselves. They can kind of then give themselves permission to be a little bit more vulnerable in the workplace and be a bit more open and speak their truth, because actually we've got leaders that are doing that. So I think with AI and automation, it's time now for us to really kind of bring the human back into everything we do. And Unbecoming is a good way to start doing that.
And it's funny, actually, because I was actually thinking about Mark, who commented earlier, because he talks a lot about this as well, and he did a TED talk about it. So Mark, if you're still there, please put the link on the post, because it was an amazing TED talk. And I was going to mention him, but anyway, came up. But thank you so much, Akua. Can you, if you've got any sort of, definitely your links, your website, everything, if you can put on the post so people can click on.
Absolutely.
And how else can people find you? And if you've got anything with your RRRs, if you could put that on the post, anything, because then people can just click on it. But how else can people find you?
Yeah, so I would be sort of through my socials, Journey with Akua, that's Instagram, also LinkedIn, and Teresa Akua Powell, and also my website, so that, there's a wait list for anyone thinking about retreats and so forth, and anyone interested in my coaching programs too, and that is www.dreamcatcherglobal, all one word, no spaces, .co, not .com, .co.
Okay. Amazing. But if you put the links as well, and then people can click on it. But thank you so much, Akua. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. If you have any comments about this, please message Akua directly or leave a comment or question on the post, and we will get back to you. But yeah, brilliant. And see you all next week.